Alright, so what's going on, people? So later today, well, by the time you see this, because I'm not uploading this till afterwards, but later today, in 4 or 5 hours or so, I'm going to be going live with a whole bunch of people talking about starting YouTube channels and all that good stuff. I'm sure it's going to be a good time, so I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully you will have been there to watch that happen. One of the things that you might notice, I'm finally breaking out this Bobby Sneaker World shirt because it goes along with this shoe that I'm about to open. So if you would like to go ahead and get yourself one of those, you're going to go over to his channel or on Instagram and let him know that you want one. And then he will make that happen after you give him like somewhere between $25 to $30, which when he told me that, I guess he thought that I might think that's a high price, but realistically, to me anyways, I buy a lot of wrestling shirts, and they're all like this. They're all made to order, and each one ends up costing, retail-wise, is about $30, right? Maybe a little bit more. So when he was like, yeah, this is how much this costs, like, yeah, that's what I'm used to, so I'm fine with it. And, you're kind of helping somebody out, which is a good thing, right? So a while ago, man, this box, like, you see that? This, I mean, it was shipped in a bag, so what do you expect? But yeah, so anyways, this particular pair of shoes, he did a review of it some time ago, and I liked them. I was like, oh, I'd like to get those sometime. He told me where to get them, which was an eBay thing, and I just kind of had that tab open for a while now, and I kept coming so close to buying them, because they were only like $40. And I just never did. And then he messaged me one day. He's like, hey, they're on sale for $20. And I'm like, well, this is clearly the time to buy them. So I did. And it took forever for them to actually ship them, but they did, because it was like weeks ago that I made that order. But here they are. So let's go ahead and get these open, see what we see. And hopefully they are going to live up to my expectations. So first off, you have the top of the box. There's all that stuff going on there. And then there's some stuff on the side, whatever it says. I'm not quite sure because I haven't seen it for myself. So, Gel Saga, Men's, Sage, and Everglade. So there you go, and a 9.5. So this is actually my first pair of Asics. Well, okay, you know what, that's not true. I had a pair back in like 2005. I didn't like them and I returned them. I had them for like 2 days, something like that. So this is my second pair of Asics, but the first pair that I'm likely to keep and actually wear. So there's that for you. Let's see what's going on in here now. Okay, things are looking pretty nice. Not too shabby. A little bit of a wrinkle in there, a little crease type of thing going on, but I think that's just the way the shoe is. So I'm not going to hold that again. I'm going to push that over there. So it's got some laces in there, so we'll come back to that. Overall, things seem to be pretty good as far as, quality control, blemishes, all that good stuff. So that would mean that it is now review time on this right here, the Asics Gel Saga in some kind of Everglade colorway. Forget what the other word was, but it doesn't matter. So, looking at these, off the top, they're looking pretty decent. They are. They really are. They're feeling pretty good as far as quality and all that stuff goes. But as we talk about them, that's where we're going to find out if there are any flaws in there. So let's go ahead and talk about them, shall we? We're going to start with the bottom because that's where I usually start. So down there, you've got a typical outsole, right? Nothing too crazy is what I mean. You got a little bit of a, I don't know what you'd want to call that, kind of like a tannish, orangish color on the back end and the front end, with a little bit of white in the middle and the Asics logo down there, of course. Moving on to the midsole, you've got very much the same standard thing that you saw on the bottom, so nothing too crazy going on down there. But they do just, again, have the orange kind of tan, whatever that color is, peeking up through the middle. So there's that for you. Very basic, but no complaints because it goes pretty well with what's going on with the logo on the upside or the upper side of the shoes. So moving to the front though, around the toe box area, you've got some pretty nice suede going on down there. Very, very soft to the touch, so I'm liking that. little bit of color change action if you kind of move your fingers on in there. And then right above that, wow, that's a lot slipperier than I thought it would be. But anyway, so you've got kind of a sort of, I don't even know what this material would be on top of here. It almost feels like what a light jacket might be made of or something. I don't own a lot of jackets. I don't think I own a single real jacket, do I? Okay, no, I don't. But I think this is the material that jackets are made of. And then behind that, you've got more suede going on so down here, you've got kind of a maroonish color going on, and then lining up with the laces and all that good stuff and bring this whole thing together. You've got that same color going on there as well. And so overall, very nice quality, I must say. Now behind that, like I was saying, you've got the Asics logo in that same sort of color that you saw on the bottom of the shoe, with a little bit of a green behind it as far as the layering goes. So I think it's a nice touch to give you a little bit of contrast in there. And behind those logos is more of that material from the front part of the shoe. Speaking of, things on the front part of the shoe, I guess maybe it's more the top, but the lacing area, right? So the lacing area, nothing too fancy about that. I do like these laces that they've thrown in here. They just feel pretty nice, pretty soft. I mean, obviously it's not going to matter once you put them on because, well, you're done. You've tied them, you've laced them. Like, that's it, right? They're all for show at that point. So there's that for you. But behind that, you've got the tongue. And the tongue has some of that material going on there. You can't really see it because of the lacing. But behind there, it does have that same material from the side and the toe box. But it's mostly going to be the suede that you saw on the bottom area with the green, and then the Asics logo at the top, again, same way with that brownish orangish color. So there's that, right? And it seems like a pretty nice soft tongue behind it. It feels more like a nylon sort of thing going on, so you can get a good look at that. And then we are mostly done with the outside. Just have Gel Saga kind of imprinted into the side there. But so that's for the most part the outside. And then moving on to the inside, what you have in there is your typical insole labeling with just Asics, and then more of that same feeling of what was around the tongue, around the back of the tongue, is lining up for the sock liner here. So like I said, it kind of feels like more of like a nylon or maybe almost satin sort of feel. Once you look at the pictures, you'll see what I'm talking about. But overall, so I think that sums up everything about the shoe, right? So I'll give you my quick thoughts on all that stuff. So here's the thing. I'm thinking that the quality of these is so much better than I would have expected for a shoe that I paid. I mean, I bought these for $20. The retail is not on the box, so I don't know if that's because maybe they were shipped from overseas somewhere. But there's no dollar amount on there, so I don't know what these retail at. If I remember to look it up, I will have slipped a timestamp, or not a timestamp, a dollar amount up there, and then you will know for sure. But for now, just know that I paid $20 for them, and I am content with that. So the quality, like I said, pretty solid all around. I like the color layout, very nice as well. So no complaints whatsoever. These would have been worth the $40 easily, even more. But now it's time to talk about the sizing, and I guess this video is probably going to be a little long. We should leave a moment of silence in here so I can slip an ad in there, since YouTube's going to start forcing those on people everywhere, and if it's over 8 minutes anyway. So here's going to be a break, and then there's that. All right, cool. So I'm going to go put these on, see what they feel like and all that good stuff, because I've never worn a pair of Asics, at least not in modern times. And then I'll be back to let you guys know how they fit and all that good stuff. All right, here we go. So these things are pretty nice. They're feeling really good, I gotta say that. But let's get that sizing portion knocked out first, because that's the thing everybody always wants to know. So here's the thing. I bought these in a 9.5 because that's the size I generally go with and things, right? So they feel like they're a little bit roomy. I don't think that going down a half is something I would suggest, but it just seems like there's a little bit more room in here than I expected. I lace them up, pull them in a little bit tighter, and that helps a good amount. So there's that for you. But it's just something to think about, that if you can't find your size, maybe going down a half would be the way to go. Otherwise, I'm gonna say just stick with your true to size. Now, past that though, as far as the comfort goes and everything, wearing these kind of feels almost like, because they're so lightweight, they feel pretty nice, like not super firm, but not super cushiony. I think it might just take a little time for like the gel stuff to kind of work in there and give you that extra comfort. But just off the top, they kind of remind me of wearing like one of the original Prestos, not the React, but just like the standard ones, or maybe a Hirachi, something to that effect, right? And I looked up the pricing. These are around $90, which kind of makes sense. So I feel like you're getting, comparing these to anything else that's around that price, like like Air Max 1s and stuff, I feel like you're getting the comfort that you would get out of those. It might get better over time because, again, sometimes you need to break stuff in for them to truly shine. But just right out of the box, I've got no complaints. They're super light, they feel pretty breathable, got good mobility in there to move around in, and they look pretty decent on feet, which might just be my own personal opinion, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway, because why not? So overall, pretty good with these, pretty good. Now, past that, I don't think there's much else to talk about, so we're just going to go ahead and get this thing wrapped up. So, if you can find a pair of these, I would definitely suggest looking into them, because I've seen them in a handful of colors, and I'm sure they have one out there that would work for mostly anybody, right? Kind of like when you look at other Ultra Boosts or Air Maxes, they make them in a million colors, so you just got to find the one for you. But past that, I don't really have anything else to say, so we're just going to go ahead and get this thing wrapped up. So, from me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. Like I said, I will have done a live thing earlier, so if you miss it and now you're watching this video, it's still out there. You can go watch it. And then I do have one other review to do today, but I'm going to shoot that one afterwards so I can give a little bit of a recap of sorts on how the whole live thing actually went, because right now I'm just assuming that it's going to go fantastically, because why wouldn't it? So there's that. The only thing that tends to change is the people. Sometimes people have to drop out at the last minute, other people drop in at the last minute. You never know what's going to happen, but I'll find out in a couple hours. So, alright, later people.